Hey, what's up? It's Reese, just doing a little off-the-cuff segment here. I know it's a bit weird because usually the only time you hear my voice is on the podcast, but I want to do a video today about Star Wars Battlefront 2, what I'm excited for, what I'm concerned for, and we'll also be talking a little bit about the last game of the franchise as well as the two original Battlefronts done by Pandemic Studios, but we're mostly going to be focusing about the EA Star Wars Battlefront 2, which just had its worldwide release trailer today. Of course, we had some little tidbits about it that we knew about before, as well as that leaked 30-second spot from Thursday, but today is where we really got the most information about it, and so that's really what I want to discuss. So to really contextualize my thoughts on Battlefront 2, first we have to talk about what I thought of the last game, Battlefront. Well, at least the reboot version, in comparison to the originals by Pandemic in 2003 and 2004. So what were my thoughts on 2015's Star Wars Battlefront reboot? Very mixed bag. Now, if you know me, you know that overall I really enjoyed the game. I played the living hell out of it. I got 100% in the game. I'm a full rank. There's the infamous 40-0 screenshot that I took. I mean, I adore this game. I love it. But, and there's a very big but, and I cannot lie about it, despite how much I love the game, there's undoubtedly a ton of flaws as well. A lot of decisions made that I really enjoyed from the original Battlefront games that I wish would have been carried over to the new game, and I think not doing so was a serious mistake. Now, where the reboot improved upon the originals, the audio and visual department, obviously, I think nobody would deny that at all in the slightest. But I think another thing that I don't think a lot of people give the reboots credit for is the shooting mechanics, which I think is greatly improved upon the originals. Now, the original Battlefronts came out in 2003 and 2004, just when shooters were really starting to get their hold on consoles, when they were just starting to become modernized. Because back then, shooters were typically found on PC, and then Halo came out, which completely changed how people perceived shooters on consoles. Now we live in an age where that's just a norm, where shooters are normalized on both console and PC, and so as a result, the mechanics in Battlefront, especially from DICE, who is a master in the craft of first-person shooters, have just made this amazing fluid control scheme for the shooters, as well as just a lot of options as well. There's multiple colorblind options, there's different viewpoint options, and you can, specifically for the viewpoints, not only can you switch between first and third person in a match in real time, but when you're in third person view, you can also change which shoulder the camera faces, which is a super cool feature that if you watch my gameplay clips, including the ones that are playing right now, you'll notice me using that a lot because it really comes in handy. And stuff like that really improves your options of what you can do in the game, and I really enjoy that. Now, in terms of negatives I have with the game, the obvious one is obviously the decision to focus exclusively on the original trilogy, to completely ignore the prequel trilogy. And yeah, there's some little hints of prequel trilogy in there, like the main menu, one of the themes has a John Williams piece from Revenge of the Sith. There's the scattergun, which appeared in the Clone Wars TV show. There's the personal shield, which is based off the Droideka shield. Stuff like that, but you get what I'm saying. There's no actual prequel clones versus droids battles in prequel-era planets. Another area that I didn't like is the decision to completely remove the class system from the original games. Now, I was hoping that it would be somewhat of like a Battlefield system, where you'd have 4 or 5 individual classes, and then you could customize each of those individual classes, so that way each class would still be unique to your own playstyle, but even still, each class would feel unique and would play different roles in the battle. But that's not the decision. Instead, they went with kind of a stripped-down version of the Call of Duty approach, where you're just given a handful of options and you can do whatever you want. And lastly, I thought a big problem of the game was the segregation of the maps. How you were separated between large game modes and small game modes, the large game modes only being able to use these exclusive large maps, and the small game modes only being able to use the exclusive small maps, with the exception of Twilight on Hoth, which is compatible on both. I thought that was a very poor decision in comparison to the originals, where all the modes were just compatible on all the maps. There's many other positives and negatives I could talk about regarding the reboot, but to do so, I'd be here all day. I just wanted to get the major ones that play the most vital role in this discussion. It's actually kind of funny because what got me onto this whole thing was a lot of one of the biggest complaints that I hear a lot of people say is that, oh, this new Battlefront reboot, it's too much like Battlefield, and I scoff at that because I wonder if these guys have even played a Battlefield game before. Because clearly, anybody that has played a Battlefield game would know that the original Battlefronts are far more like Battlefield than the reboot is, and that's actually one of the biggest reasons I didn't like the reboot as much, because I wanted some of those more Battlefield elements. I wanted to stand out on its own as a Battlefront title, but I think some of those Battlefield elements that were in the original Pandemic titles are vital to that overall sensation. I mean, let's look at Battlefield 1942, which is what the original Star Wars Battlefront was heavily influenced upon. The most popular mode in that and many of the other in the Battlefield titles is Conquest mode, which you have these very large open-ended maps. You have two sides going at it trying to capture these control points. They also have a ticket system dictating how many units they have. Whichever side runs out of units first, or whichever side captures all the control points, that wins. And that is exactly how the aptly named Galactic Conquest is played in Star Wars Battlefront. And so, I mean, honestly, I just think when someone says that the whole reason that the reboot sucks more than the originals because it's more like Battlefield, I just think they're just being ignorant, because the first Battlefronts are far more like Battlefield IMO, and that's from someone who's played both a lot of Battlefield and all the Battlefronts. So, whew, with that all out of the way, let's talk about EA Star Wars Battlefront 2, the sequel to the reboot to the sequel of Star Wars Battlefront. Say that three times as fast. So originally when Battlefront 2 was announced, the reboot, the only thing we knew about it was that the First Order would be involved from the new trilogy, or the sequel trilogy as I'll refer to it. And then people were speculating that there would be a campaign mode this time because Motive, a brand new EA studio, was involved in it, and one of the biggest requests from the original Battlefront was to add a campaign mode. And sure enough, that all happened to be true. We learned that about, I want to say 2-3 months ago, that Motive was indeed working on a campaign for this game, and that DICE would be handling the multiplayer. And now we also know that Criterion will be involved. I assume they're going to be handling vehicle segments, at least in the campaign, maybe for other stuff as well, because they did that with the original Battlefront as well, so that would make sense. And all that's great news. I personally don't care as much. Like, I'm happy. I'm definitely gonna play the campaign first thing when I do purchase this game. But really, I play Battlefront for the multiplayer. That's what's always attracted me to Battlefront. And it's odd, too, because I usually am a single-player gamer. Like, I mean, Metroid, my favorite game franchise of all time. Fuck the multiplayer. Don't care about that. All about the single-player. But for Battlefront, it's this weird exception where it's always been, for me, about the multiplayer. But for those people that are excited about the campaign, and there are a great many, I'm happy, and I'm not down on it either. Like, cool, I'm sure the campaign's gonna be fun. Gonna play through it at least once. But the multiplayer is what really excites me, and that is a lot of the news we got today as well. And I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I really feel like DICE has been listening to the community, and they've shown that they've been listening to the community throughout. I mean, as someone who played the original Battlefront, just seeing all the stuff that they patched into the game, like, you could tell that they were really listening to a lot of community feedback on features they wanted added, on balance and stuff like that. And it really feels like they've taken that to a whole new level, because with the worldwide reveal today, I mean, right off the bat, they addressed two of my biggest concerns that I addressed at the beginning of this, which was focusing exclusively on the original trilogy and the lack of a class-based system. We now know, and technically regarding the inclusion of more eras, we knew that before, but that was because the 30-second spot leaked. We weren't supposed to know that until until Saturday. But even so, we now know that all 3 eras will be included. Not sure if they'll bring back Rogue One, which they did have as DLC for the first Battlefront reboot, but if not, oh well, we got prequels and we got First Order. Super excited about that. And so we got that, as well as the confirmation of a class-based system where you can customize each individual slot. That makes me happy. This really excites me, and I honestly do think that this is starting to shape up to be the ultimate Battlefront experience that I've been yearning for almost 12 years now. But, of course, we'll have to wait and see that for ourselves. We haven't seen any of it. We've seen small snippets of pre-rendered gameplay, but we haven't seen actual multiplayer matches. We haven't seen how the whole thing functions yet. We'll have to wait and see, but I really like what I'm hearing. I'm really excited for all this right now. There is, however, one concern I do have from today's announcement, and I think it's very important to discuss that as well, because again, while I'm excited, I don't want to let my fanboyism blind me from the overall reality of the scenario. So what is my concern? Frankly, something that shouldn't have to concern me, but it does because of the climate we live in today regarding the AAA game industry. And the fact is, DICE announced that there would be no season pass for this game. Which, again, that should be a fantastic thing, and I would be praising that if this were 2-3 years ago. But this is why that does worry me a little bit, because if there's no season pass, there's a chance that means the multiplayer maps are going to be free, and if the maps are going to be free, that means that DICE is going to try to make DLC currency somewhere else. And usually the method that a lot of AAA developers, especially within the shooter genre, go is to do a loot crate or a supply drop system. I mean, Call of Duty does it. I mean, Battlefield, another DICE franchise, does that right now. Gears of War infamously did that. It's the reason I don't play multiplayer anymore. I am really not a fan of the whole loot crate scenario, because I would much rather pay for maps that were made after the game came out than have to gamble money away for cosmetic items that are on the disc itself. I think it's just a really stupid anti-consumer a really stupid anti-consumer practice, and I would really hate for that to plague a game like this that's shaping up to look so awesome right now. But anyways, all of that is just speculation on my part. We don't know any of that for sure, but it's a valid concern that I have. But anyways, that one concern I have aside, overall, it's been an extremely positive day for myself regarding the status of Battlefront 2. I'm very excited for this game. I can't wait to see more of it at E3 this year. And that's going to wrap up my video. If you want to hear me talk more about my thoughts on Battlefront, I'd love to get more into the nitty-gritties, but I just wanted to keep this really short and simple. If you like the songs, all of the music that I've used is by Galactic Empire. They are a progressive metal band that covers Star Wars themes by John Williams. They just released their debut album this year. Highly recommend you buy it. I love it. And that's going to wrap up my video today. So have a wonderful day, and maybe I'll see you on Battlefront 2 on November 17th, 2017, assuming it doesn't turn out to be absolute horseshit. Thank you, and bye-bye.